everyone, Jim here. Welcome to my channel, Mystery and Mayhem. Well, we're 3 days into July, and I've yet to do my Rocket Summer video, but today I'm going to remedy that. I'm going to share with you some of the books that I'll probably be reading for Rocket July. Today, as a matter of fact, I just finished reading The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells, and this is... arguably it could be regarded as a horror novel or a satire novel. I mean, parts of it kind of read like satire, but I choose to believe that it's has a foot in the science fiction genre. I'm a fan of H.G. Wells, and I really enjoyed the book. It's a quick read. It's a very, very short book. And it's got this edition has a fantastic cover. So I just finished reading that today. And yeah, I enjoyed it as much as I did when I read it like decades ago. I think the last time I read it, I must have been high school or just out of high school, maybe college. You know, and I've had this paperback for years, and I just haven't got around to reading it till now. I have some other H.G. Wells paperbacks that I was going to read, but I probably won't read them because I've got a lot of other stuff I have to get to, but I will show them to you. I've got The Island of Dr. Moreau, that very cool cover, and it's a movie edition apparently, special movie edition when the movie came out, and this is The Time Machine, another movie edition. Now, The Time Machine's probably my favorite H.G. Wells story, but I decided to read The Invisible Man because I hadn't read it for so long. The Time Machine I've read a couple of times, but yeah, that would fit into the first week of the prompts for Rocket July, pre-1930, and I forget when this was written, early 1900s, I think. I'd have to check that, but don't quote me on it. So yeah, those are some early science fiction novels. Now I have a lot of these best of sci-fi novels by some of the masters of science fiction. Now most of these I think were acquired from a lot of the old pulp magazines, because most of these stories in these anthologies were taken from like Analog Science Fiction, Amazing Stories, Astounding Stories, that kind of thing, you know. So that would have run the gamut from, you know, the 1930s up to the 1950s, maybe the early 1960s. So I'll go through the ones I do have, and what I'll do is I'll go through the copyright pages, and I'll take the ones from the 30s, read them this week, take some from the 1940s, read them the next week, until I should be able to get through most of these books, most of these short stories. So this is the best of John W. Campbell. By the way, I hope everyone's doing well. I mean, it's here we are right in the middle of summer. Today, where I am, it's reached 81 Fahrenheit, so it's pretty hot out there right now, and it might even go up a little bit more. So I hope everybody's managing to stay cool in this hot weather. So the next one I have, I don't think these are in order. I think I'm probably going from the most current backwards is the way I have them stacked here. But this is the best of Frederick Pohl. And these are just great paperbacks. I'm missing quite a few of them. I have, I think, 8 or 9, and I think there was maybe 15 or so in the series. I'm not too sure, but I'm going to have to pick up some more. But yeah, these are a lot of fun. You know, there's about 15 to 20 stories in here. And as I said, all picked from old pulp magazines, like from Galaxy. The latest one in here is from Galaxy Magazine, 1964. And the earliest one would be from 1954, Galaxy Magazine. Oh, there's a story here from Dangerous Visions from 1967. So Frederick Pohl, most of these are from the late 50s and early 60s. Now, going back to John W. Campbell, let me check the copyright page on that. The earliest story in this is from 1932, and the most current story is from 1960. So the next one I have is the best of Jack Williamson with that awesome cover. Now, let's see where these ones and when these ones are from. Jack Williamson. The earliest story in here, oh wow, it was 1928 from Amazing Stories, all the way up to 1976. The story, The Highest Dive, published in Science Fiction Monthly, and just, everything in between. So yeah, it's the best of, just like it says, the best of Jack Williamson, chosen from those awesome pulp magazines from back in the day. Now we have the best of C.W. Kornbluth, and the earliest story in this is from 1941, published in Stirring Science Stories, and the most current is from 1958, published in Venture Science Fiction. And this will keep me busy like all month long. There's a lot of stories in these, and like I said, I've got 8 of them. And here's the best of Fritz Leiber. The earliest story was printed in 1944 in Astounding Science Fiction, and the most current is 1965, published in Galaxy Magazine. So the next I have is the best of Lee Brackett with that Boris cover. I kind of run hot and cold on Boris artwork, but that one looks pretty good. And Lee Brackett, who was a screenwriter as well, and she wrote the screenplay for the original Big Sleep and The Long Goodbye, and I think she did some work on Star Wars. So the earliest story in here was published in 1944, and the most current was published in 1956. The early one was published in Planet Stories. So yeah, that's a good one to have. And there's an example of some of the stories in the book, and it looks like there's some fantasy ones in there too. So, we'll see as I go through it. The best of C.L. Moore, and this includes her famous story Shamblo, which has been it's been put into a few anthologies and adapted to some comic book stories, actually. I think Roy Thomas adapted that story into a Conan story in one of the earlier comic books. So Shamblo was published in 1933 in Weird Tales magazine, and the most current one was published in 1946 in Astounding Science Fiction magazine, and that story was called Vintage Season. And there's 9 or 10. There's 10 stories in here, and that's the best of C.L. Moore. And last but not least, I think this is number 1 in this series, actually. And I had to repair this book because the cover had come away from the pages, so I kind of had to re-glue it to kind of put the cover back on. But other than that, it's in perfect condition. The best of Stanley G. Weinbaum. And there's an example of some of the stories in it. I mean, I'm really looking forward to getting into these stories. The earliest published was A Martian Odyssey and Wonder Stories in 1934. And the most current, was Proteus Island and Astounding Stories in 1936. So these only run the gamut of 1934 to 1936 over a span of a couple of years. And there is one for 1937. So, yeah, and these all come with introductions by other famous writers. This has an introduction by Isaac Asimov and an afterword by Robert Bloch. So yeah, these are, like I said, they'll keep me busy. Like now that I've read The Invisible Man for, an early science fiction, which I wanted to do, I'll start getting into those books. But I have other options too. I have this book The Road to Science Fiction #2, From Wells to Heinlein. And I'm not too sure that the years that it covers, but it's got stories in here by H.G. Wells, E.M. Forster. There's an Edgar Rice Burroughs story in here. Abraham Merritt, a Jack London story, who did a lot of science fiction stories back in the day. Jack London. There's an H.P. Lovecraft story in here. Aldous Huxley, a Stanley G. Weinbaum again. John W. Campbell, his famous story Twilight. Edmund Hamilton, What's It Like Out There? Isaac Asimov. So yeah, that's a nice thick book. Yes, this one will definitely keep me busy if I need more to read after the best of sci-fi anthologies. I also have some other books here that I've acquired over the years, which I might as well share with you guys here. And I'm not going to get to all these. Again, it's just a TBR, and these are options for me. Now I'm going to share with you some of my ace doubles, my sci-fi doubles, and I think these are all from the 60s, so these would count for Rocket Summer as well. So I'll just go through these and show you the covers, and yeah, we'll go over these together. So here's Nebula Alert by A. Bertram Chandler, that awesome cover. And flipping it around, you've got The Rival Regellions by Mac Reynolds. And I just love these ace doubles, they're just very cool books to have. Now this one here, it's a double paperback by both stories by Lee Brackett, The Secret of Cinnarat. And this awesome, one of my favorite covers, I mean, honestly, it's beautiful, The People of the Talisman, again by Lee Brackett. And that's just a beautiful cover. The colors and the drawing, everything about it is just incredible. And we've got The Lunar Eye by Robert Moore Williams. And you flip it over, and you've got The Towers of Toron by Samuel R. Delany. Here we've got another double, both stories by Philip Jose Farmer, The Celestial Blueprint and The Cache from Outer Space, both by Philip Jose Farmer. This is the bigger size paperback, but it's still a double, an ace double, and this is The Road to the Rim by A. Bertram Chandler, and The Lost Millennium by Walt and Lee Richmond. Now this is actually a triple, it's called the Ace Science Fiction Reader, and it's got 3 stories in it. The Trouble with Tycho by Clifford Simak, Empire Star by Samuel R. Delany, and The Last Castle by Jack Vance. And here we have an ace book. It's just a single story, but it's the Starwolf #1 by Edmund Hamilton, The Weapon from Beyond. And this one is from 1967, and that cover is by Jack Gauguin. So yeah, that's a bit of a hefty TBR, but I thought I'd share it with you guys, and that's for my Rocket Summer introduction. I know everybody else has probably got theirs up by now, but sorry, I'm a little slow getting my video up this month. But as I read these through, I'll share them with you and let you guys know how I do. So you guys take care and stay cool. I'll talk to you soon. Keep reading.